In today's world, the game isn't just about catching defects anymore. It's about getting ahead of them, making sure they never even happen. We're going to walk through how a really important digital shift can take your quality assurance from a reactive, costly headache to a proactive system where you are in complete control. Okay, let's just start with a number that pretty much says it all. $1.4 trillion. Think about that for a second. That's the estimated annual cost of unplanned downtime for just the world's 500 largest companies. This is not a rounding error, right? It is a colossal drain on productivity, and so much of it is driven by quality failures that are, frankly, preventable. To really get our heads around this drain, the industry has a concept called the cost of quality. Now, this isn't just about the money you spend to make a great product. It's really about the enormous cost of failure, all the mistakes you catch, and, even more importantly, the ones that manage to slip through the cracks. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into the true cost of failure. Then, we'll figure out why these defects escape in the first place. After that, we'll dive into the safely operating system, how we can digitize everything, use AI to see what the human eye can't, and finally, get you to a place of total control. All right, first things first, let's talk about the true cost of failure. It's wild, but so many companies are basically running a second hidden factory that does nothing but fix mistakes. And let me tell you, it's costing them a fortune. This chart really breaks down that hidden cost. We all tend to focus on things like scrap and rework, but the real cost of poor quality, or COPQ, is so much bigger. It's the downtime, the customer returns, the long investigations, and all that hidden labor spent just fixing problems. For a lot of companies, this can be anywhere from 5 to, get this, 30% of their total revenue. Just gone. And that leads us to the million-dollar question. If companies are trying so hard and spending so much money on quality, why are defects still getting through to customers? Well, the answer usually lies in the old-school, paper-based systems they're leaning on. Oh boy, welcome to what I call the quality paperwork universe. Look at this list: SOPs, training records, calibration logs, deviation reports. It's a whole ocean of paper that's supposed to prove you have control. But in reality, it's completely overwhelming and, most importantly, totally disconnected. So you have to ask, right? With binders and binders full of procedures and log sheets piling up everywhere, how is it even possible that defects are still making it out the door? Well, it really comes down to 4 classic ways these systems fail. First, you've got late detection. Manual checks are just a snapshot in time, right? They leave these huge windows open for defects to just run and run. Second, inconsistent execution. The same exact SOP gets interpreted and done differently across shifts and sites. Third, the traceability is just weak. Trying to trace a problem through stacks of paper is so slow that your recall windows become absolutely massive. And last, poor escalation. Little warning signs just get lost in the shuffle, buried in the paperwork, until a small issue suddenly explodes into a full-blown crisis. And all of this just points to one fundamental truth. The paper-based system isn't just a little inefficient. It's fundamentally broken. It's built to be reactive. And that brings us to a totally new, proactive way of thinking: the safely operating system. The shift in thinking here is just night and day. We are moving from a world that is reactive, paper-based, and siloed to a system that is proactive, digital, and connected across your entire operation. This is all about preventing fires, not just getting better at putting them out. So, you're probably asking, how does this actually work? Well, it all starts with the foundation, getting you off of paper and onto a standardized digital platform. The whole journey kicks off with document management. And listen, this is not just some digital filing cabinet. This is a single source of truth for every single policy, every standard operating procedure, making sure everyone, and I mean everyone, is working from the exact same playbook. And here's where that real control comes from. You get a central library, you get enforced sign-off workflows so documents are always approved by the right people, and you get strict version control. Plus, our AI, who we call Albert, can actually answer questions directly from your documents and even use them to automatically generate your digital checklists. It's a game changer. Now, this is where those documents really come to life. The Forms and Checklist Builder lets you take those static SOPs and turn them into dynamic digital tasks that literally guide your team through their work step by step. You can design templates to keep everything consistent, link forms directly to scheduled tasks, and even capture photo evidence to prove the work was done right. Completion is tracked automatically, so you always know your compliance status. And even better, Albert AI can generate these forms for you right from your approved documents. Okay, so we've standardized how things get done. Now let's talk about seeing the things that humans just can't. This is where we layer in real-time data from IoT sensors and AI to catch problems the very second they start. So what we have here is IoT sensors monitoring things like temperature and humidity, while Albert Vision uses cameras to spot visual defects and anomalies right there on the line, 24/7. This combination basically gives you eyes and ears everywhere, all the time. Now, when we say AI, I know what you might be thinking, a black box. But that's not what this is. Albert Vision is a governed visual reasoning engine, and this is so critical. It's deterministic, which means the same input gives you the same output every single time. It's explainable, so it tells you why it made a decision, and it's safe because it's designed for the high-stakes world of enterprise quality assurance. The whole process is actually pretty straightforward. It works in 4 key steps. First, cameras capture images at your critical points. Second, the engine infers if there's any kind of anomaly. Third, a confidence score acts as a gate. It either automates a response or flags it for a human to review. And finally, the system orchestrates the whole response, instantly triggering a deviation and a containment workflow. It all happens in a flash. And that brings us to the grand finale, achieving total control by tying every single component together for seamless end-to-end traceability. Just look at how powerful this is when it all works together. In the very first second, Albert Vision spots a bad seal. A second later, 1 second, the system has already created a deviation report and quarantined the affected product. Within a minute, the QA lead gets a notification with photo evidence, and in just 5 minutes, a corrective action is assigned to engineering. This is literally the difference between a tiny blip and a massive, costly recall. So when you boil it all down, the platform directly solves those core problems we talked about at the beginning. That massive recall scope, solved by digital traceability. Those inconsistent checks, gone thanks to digitized forms. Late defect detection, that's a thing of the past with real-time monitoring. And those nagging, recurring issues, finally addressed through automated corrective actions and clear trend dashboards. Which really just brings us to one final thought. We've spent all this time talking about the cost of poor quality, but with the technology that's available today, the real question is this: what's the hidden cost of not making this digital shift? What opportunities are you missing, and what risks are you just choosing to ignore by sticking with the way things have always been done?